everyone, this is Sara and welcome to my crochet YouTube channel. Today's video is our 6th in our series of vintage crochet patterns with a modern twist. Today's video is the Santa Alrm Door Hanger. Now I made these when the kids were little because we lived in a house that didn't have a chimney. And you hang this on the door, and then you can tell when Santa's come in and Santa's gone out because you hear the bells. Another thing that you can do with this is hang this on the mantle where your stockings are hung. And when Santa comes down that chimney and comes through, he'll knock those bells, and then you'll know when he's left because you'll hear those bells. Now this is a free crochet pattern on my blog, and you can find that blog link down in the notes underneath this video. To make the Santa Alrm Door Hanger, you're going to need some jingle bells. I put 3 at the bottom, I put 3 in the center, and then 2 at the top. So that's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. But you can add as many jingle bells as you want. Now these bells are about 3/4 to an inch. And I like those because they're just a little bit bigger and they're going to make a little bit bigger sound. I purchased this in a mixed bag at Hobby Lobby. They had red and green and gold and silver in the bag. Now you can get bigger jingle bells if you want to. I don't recommend getting them any smaller because you want that sound to be loud so you hear Santa coming and going. You're also going to need some yarn. Now you can use worsted weight number 4 yarn, or you can use cotton. This one is made out of cotton. This is the cotton that I have on hand. I have this red sugar and cream with the sparkle, and this variegated I'm going to use today as well. And then for the strap that goes down the middle, I'm going to use this solid green so that it's easy for you to see. But you can use any cotton and any worsted weight 4 that you want to, and use any color combination that you would like. We're going to be stitching today with our H hook, and this is an H8, which is a 5.00 millimeter crochet hook. You're also going to need a needle for sewing on those jingle bells, weaving in those ends, and of course attaching the strap. You'll also need your scissors for cutting those yarns. Now this doesn't take a lot of yarn. You're going to need about 4 ounces total of all your colors, depending on what colors that you choose. We're going to begin first by making the circles, and you're going to need 6 circles. You'll need 5 for the body, and then you'll need a 6th one for the top, which is the door hanger portion. I've already got these 5 made. I'm doing 3 in the variegated and 3 in the red. And so I'm going to go ahead and show you how to make the last one. Scoot those up a little. All right, we got some glitter on here from yesterday's project. We're going to begin by making our slip knot. And then we're going to chain 20 chains. There's 10, 15, oops. All right, so there's my 20 chains. I'm going to take the tail of my work, wrap it over my hook, and pull it through that loop. We'll snug that down, and we'll just add a little knot so that that's held tightly. Now I want you to turn your work so that the tail of the yarn goes around, and we're going to work over that tail, and that will just keep us from having to weave that in later. We'll put our hook through, grab that loop and pull it up and chain 1. And that just gets us to the top of our loop. Now we're going to be stitching around this chain loop that we made. And we're going to stitch 26 single crochets. And when you're first doing your circles, it's going to seem a little bit clumsy, but don't give up, just keep going. You go through the loop, pull up a loop, you'll have those 2 loops on your hook, yarn over and go through both of those 2 loops. All right, so there's 1, 2, 3, and I'm holding that tail of yarn and the loop together so I can stitch over it. And I'm going to stitch 26 single crochets around this chain loop. Now you may have to ease them around a little bit. Push them so that they all fit, and if you have extra space you may space them around a little as well to make sure we get all 26 single crochets in our circle. Once you have stitched all 26 single crochets around your circle, and like I said, you may have to move them around. If it's tight, push them. If it's too loose, push it around. Just adjust it so that it's evenly spaced around your circle. We're going to join to the first single crochet with a slip stitch. So we're going to put our hook through, we're going to pull up a loop, and then we're going to pull that loop through the loop that's already on our hook. And then we're going to chain 3. And this is how it should look at this point. For our second row of our circle, we've chained 3, and that first chain 3 counts as 1 double crochet. We're going to double crochet in the same stitch as that chain 3. So we'll yarn over, we'll go in that stitch, we'll pull up a loop. You'll have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over, go through the first 2, yarn over, and go through the second 2. And now for the remainder around our circle, we're going to do what I call 1 and 2. We're going to place 1 double crochet in the next single crochet, and then we'll place 2 double crochets in the next single crochet. 1 and 2. And so what we're doing, and this is going to help it lay flat. We want our circle to lay nice and flat. And so what we're doing is we're stitching 2 double crochets in the next stitch, and then 1 double crochet in the next. So that's 1 and 2 all the way around our circle. 1 double crochet in the next stitch, 2 double crochets in the next. So in the next stitch, I'm going to stitch 1 double crochet. And then in the next stitch, I'm going to stitch 2. 1 and 2. And we will repeat this all the way around the circle. 1 double crochet in the next stitch and 2 double crochets in the next. 1, 2. All the way around our circle. And once we get back around, we'll join to the top of the chain 3. I finished my double crochets all the way around doing the 1 and 2, and now I'm going to join to the top of my chain 3 with a slip stitch. So I'm going to go in that top chain, pull up a loop, you have those 2 loops on your hook, and pull that loop through the loop that's already on your hook. And now we're going to cut this off. Leave yourself a little bit of yarn for weaving in. And I go ahead and weave in the end when I finish a circle. That way I don't have to come back and do it later. And one really nice thing is because we stitched over that tail of yarn here, we don't have anything that we have to weave in. So I'm just going to pull this to the back. And go through a few stitches so it stays put. And remember, when you're weaving in, go through some stitches, not the holes, so that it stays nice and tight. So now we have 6 circles for our Santa Alrm door hanger. Now we need to make the centerpiece, and that piece is just a strap that looks like this. Now this one I did with the red and a variegated in the middle and red on the outside. I'm going to show you the demonstration in just a solid green because I think it'll make it a little bit easier for you to see if I make it just out of a regular green so that you can understand how to weave it in and out your circles. So to make that center strap, we're going to need to chain 51 chains. So I'm going to start with my slip knot and chain 51 chains. I've chained my 51 chains, and now we're going to stitch a row of single crochets. We're going to begin stitching in the second chain from the hook. This is our first chain, this is our second. So we'll put our hook through, pull up a loop, yarn over, and go through both of those loops. And we'll place 1 single crochet in each of the chains working across. And you'll have 50 single crochets because we began stitching in the second chain from the hook. So I'm working along my chain, stitching 1 single crochet in each of the chains across. So I've done my row of single crochets across my chain. I'm going to chain 1 and turn. And now I'm going to place 1 single crochet in each single crochet across. Now the chain 1 does not count as a stitch, so make sure you put your first single crochet in the first single crochet stitch. Now, like I said, I am making this strap in a solid green, and I'm doing this just so that you'll be able to see it as I weave it through the hanger. But this one, you can see I did 2 rows of green, rows of red, and rows of white. And let me show you this one. I did a row of red, 2 rows of the variegated, and a row of red. And so what we're going to do is we're just going to stitch, turn it over so you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4 rows of single crochet. And I'll be doing all 4 of those rows for this door hanger in solid green. Now, if you want to change colors, of course you'll do that at the end of the row. And you can do it all solid like I'm doing, or you can do each color different. it doesn't matter. Just make sure that you do 4 rows of single crochet. So I have stitched 4 rows of single crochet for my strap. I'm going to tie off, and I'm going to leave myself a pretty good size tail of yarn, about 12 to 18 inches. And we're going to use that when we sew it to attach it to our door hanger. So I'm just going to pull that through. And I'm not going to cut this one off or weave it in either, because we'll use that one as well. All right, so now it's time to put our hanger together. So the first thing that we need to do in the assembly part is to lay out the circles. And we're going to overlap them, and then we're going to use our strap to weave them in. And I'm just going to let that string lay there across there so that it doesn't get in the way. So what we'll do is we'll go in here and go around that loop on that next ring, and we'll pull this through. There we go. Now don't pull it all the way. You do want to get that string out of there. But we're going to need to have enough of this to attach it under here and sew it down. So we're going to leave about that much. All right, so now we're going to take the next one and go through it with that strap. Make sure you don't twist your strap. Keep it nice and flat. All right. So now we're going to go through the next loop or bottom of our ring, and we'll just weave it through. That string out of the way that we're going to need later. And we'll continue this all the way through. There we go. That string can be a nuisance, but we need it for later. Alrighty. Now we need to go through our last loop here. Alright, now at this point, I try to make sure everything's laying pretty and stretched out. All right, and then we're just going to take the end of this and put it through here. Okay. Our bottom strap is underneath here, and the one at the, this is actually the top strap. We'll do this part over. The top strap is underneath here because we're going to be folding that one down that way in order to make the loop to hang on our doorknob. The bottom strap we're going to sew under this way. All right, so we're going to turn it over, and we're going to do that top strap first. So I'm going to thread my needle, and I'm just going to make some loop stitches, and I want to make sure that I don't go through to the front since I'm using a different color yarn, and just go through the back of those stitches. And now I'm just going to weave my yarn in so it stays put. Alrighty, so we'll cut that one off. And that's the front because that is going to be where the door ringer sits. Alright, Now the bottom, let's turn this over. And we're just going to flap this over and stitch it right there. And we'll do the same thing. Try to just go through the backs of the stitches so that it doesn't show the green through. There we go. Now I need to remember to leave myself a little bit longer yarn on this end so I have enough to secure it. There we go. And we'll just weave that in and clip that. All right, so here's just the basic part of it. That's the back. Let's turn it over to the front. So the next thing we need to do is add the bells, and then I'm going to show you how to add a ribbon. I've got my jingle bells here, and I'm going to start first by putting those 3 at the bottom. So I'm going to put my thread. I have threaded on a piece of yarn about 12 to 18 inches long. I'm going to pull that through, but I'm going to leave a little bit of a tail. And then I'm just going to grab 3 of the bells and put those on there. I've got one of each color there. That one's a little snug. Let's try this gold one. Sometimes you have to lay your needle flat to get it through. All right, so there's my 3 jingle bells. And I'm going to go through to the back again. And I'm just going to tie them on with a couple of good knots. Make sure they're on there snugly. And cut that off. All right, and then I'll do that again. I'm going to go ahead and do the top one next because I'm going to use 2 bells there. I think I'll use just a green and a red. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to come up through the back. I'm going to leave a tail so I can tie a knot. I'm going to put those 2 bells on. I go right back through. Snug those down and tie a couple of knots. If you're concerned that the knot's not going to hold, you can dab it with a little hot glue, you can dab it with a little fray check or fabric glue that knot. I haven't had any issues with them coming out at all. All right, so now I want to add these last 3 jingle bells. I've got some more yarn here. Put it on my needle. And I'm just going to do it the same way. What I do is I go to the center and add that center jingle bell next. Make sure I have a tail. I'm going to use this gold one. See if I can get it through my needle here. There we go. And do it the same way. Put that thread through. Pull it to the back. And tie a knot and clip it. All right, and then I'll add the next 2 bells wherever they fit, spaced out along here. I'll do it exactly the same. I'm going to put these on, the green and the red, and then I'm going to show you how to make some crochet bows that you can put on just to add a little flair to your Santa alarm. So we got all the bells all sewed on, and let's make a couple of ribbons. Now you can use a Christmas ribbon that's already pre-made. You can use any buttons or any designs that you want to spiffy up your Santa alarm. But I'm just going to make some ribbons by chaining. And so I'm using this variegated, and I'm just going to chain 30 chains. There's 20. Get a little more yarn out here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1. All right, there's 30. And if you want your bow to be longer, you can make it longer. If you want it shorter, you can make it shorter. If you want a nice big bow, you can chain as many as you want. All right, so once we get the amount of chains that you want, we're just going to cut our yarn. We'll pull that through. We'll tie a little knot in the end, right up on the end of that chain, so that it doesn't come out. Give it a good hard pull and clip it. And we'll do the same thing to the other end. Pull it through, snug it down, and clip it. All right, so what I do, if I want to add a little bow, is I'll just put my hook through the center portion of the strap, and I'll pull that through gently, of course, and then just tie a bow. And you would do the same thing if you wanted to use a satin ribbon or a velvet ribbon, or you wanted to add some holly or something a little more festive to it. That's how you do it. And I'm going to add a bow to the top as well. And then my Santa Alarm door hanger will be ready to hang up, waiting for Santa.